Hello. Checking in with Lana of Gthl, Barsoom Novel 10 by Edgar Rice Burroughs, and possibly the last complete novel, really, of the series. What gets published next, John Carter of Mars, I believe, is what comes next, is only one of the stories is actually by Edgar Rice Burroughs. There's another one by his son, and it doesn't really complete that story. So I don't even know if I'm going to actually read that one. This seems like it's so far is fairly complete. It's a 4-parter. I am at part 2, chapter 12 is what I've gotten up to. The Black Pirates of Mars, which are, Black Pirates. This is called Lana of Gthl. She is the granddaughter of John Carter of Mars. And indeed, John Carter is actually just off kind of on a little jaunt on his own when he spots some guy getting attacked by some green Martians, a red Martian guy getting attacked by a bunch of green Martians. He goes down to save him. Actually, it's not even a green Martian. It is a red Martian. It is actually a white blonde guy. And he's like, oh, I need to go and save this guy. So he goes down and saves him, beats off the thing. But it turns out these are a forgotten kind of little pocket universe of, not pocket universe, pocket little thing, civilization of the original white Martians. These aren't like the Therns who are bald and that, but they are blonde, blue-eyed Martians who are the most ancient race who got beaten back when they rose to the height of civilization when the seas were high, but when the seas receded and they finally died, the green Martians took over, and all the other kind of savage races kind of took place, and they've been surviving by hiding for generations. And indeed, anybody who comes upon the city must instantly be killed. But this guy, Pan Dan Chi, I believe is his name, doesn't want to kill John Carter and takes him to his leader, who says, like, we should really kill you. Well, I'll think about it. You can stay in these pits overnight. And so they stay in the pits, where it's a maze in there, but they find there's some maniacal laughter. And it's this weird dude who tries to hypnotize them into a death-like thing, and revealing to them that he actually eats his hypnoed victims. John Carter, of course, being John Carter, all kind of Captain Kirk-like, definitely the proto-Captain Kirk, is able to fight off the mind control and chop his head off. At which point, all the guys he has hypnotized through thousands and millions of years suddenly wake up. And they're like, well, of course I know the way out. I'm the king. I had this place constructed in the first place. So, but they don't believe him that the seas are all gone, and that it's thousands or millions of years have gone by. So the king leads them out. They see that, just imagine the Pacific Ocean had dried up since last night. And they all dissolve into dust because they're all kind of, I guess they realize the truth of things, and it was basically just this hypno guy's kind of powers that had kept them alive all this time and fresh and juicy. They all dry up and dissolve into dust and blow away. Now, one of the people that came out of this thing was Lana of Gthl. What are the coincidences? This is the great thing of Edgar Rice Burroughs. None of this, we're going to make a long story, we're going to things. He just okay, we'll have a coincidence, and we just get Lana into the story, which is what he does. And I think that's one of Edgar Rice Burroughs' geniuses, because I'm reading Journey to Mars at the moment, and it's like exposition after exposition after exposition. And Edgar Rice Burroughs is like, no, let's just make a good story, and we don't have to explain everything. It's just like, oh, she's there. And it turns out Lana of Gthl, she was her dad, Gthl of Gthl, was hosting this asshole red Martian guys from the north, who are bent on world domination, and he of course fell in love with Alana, who's beautiful. Pandan Chi is also fallen in love with her just by looking at one of John Carter's chess pieces. That's a model of her, sight unseen, and indeed he tries to offer his hand in marriage to her. She's like, "You haven't fought for me yet." And even when a Banth tries to kill her and he fights off the Banth, she's like, "Well, you fought off a Banth, but you haven't fought off actual men for me. So yeah, we'll see." She's playing, and John Carter's like, "Oh, she's playing hard to get," but that's women, I guess, for you. I don't understand them. But this guy tried to, basically she got a summons, maybe to go see John Carter. Oh no, she had decided to leave because the guy was making her feel so uncomfortable. He was going to go visit John Carter. And he said, "Oh, I have to leave at the same time too." They did a sneak attack, tried to attack her. She sabotaged their boat. They crashed. They got taken prisoner. They ended up getting taken prisoner by the actually, they almost all got killed by the Green Martians, but she got taken prisoner by these Uxars, I think is what they're called, these white-skinned, blonde-haired Martians. And she somehow ended up down in the caverns as well, hid in a chest. Or no, she came from outside, got hid in a chest where she heard the maniacal laughter, and this just happened to get there at the exact same time as John Carter. So they escape out, but yes, they get, I can't even remember now how they get taken prisoner by the Black Martians, I think, as they're trying to trek across to get home. They get sucked in, they get sold as slaves, get split up. John Carter is going by Datar, whatever his Green Martian name was, because Black Martians don't have any reason to love him, because on his first or second adventure, Gods of Mars, he exposed Isis as a complete fraud, and she was torn apart by the angry mob. So he's major game changer there, and he's really screwed up their society. So he's keeping them down low there. He basically has a whole bunch of stuff where it's like he proves that he's the greatest swordsman there ever was. When he gets bought by a Jetic, he makes the Jetic money. Somebody tries to sabotage his sword, but he proves that, like, oh look, they gave me a shorter sword, but I still bested them. But that means I don't want to kill this noble who you put me into a fight with, because there's been fraud. And he's like, okay, I have to figure out how to get out of here. Now the trick is that Doxus, the guy who rules these black Martians, these black Martian pirates, I'm pretty sure the black Martian pirates, has this machine. It's a mastermind machine, which basically it takes the measure of everyone's nerve senses, like their basically nerve fingerprint, and can kill anybody they want, wherever they are. They could be sitting alone in a room somewhere, and that if they focus that machine on them, they'd be dead. So basically, he rules everyone under fear of death, and they came by a giant pit where they basically toss all the dead bodies of the people that he's killed with this method. Now, it turns out that the guy who made the machine rebelled against it, and he ended up dying or getting killed. And so they only have the one machine, which Doxus has some scientist lackey Meyerlow to take care of, but they can't make another one. So it's an irreplaceable machine. So John Carter all he has to do is figure out where the machine is, destroy it, and then they can make their escape. And of course, the Jetic says, like, wow, you're a great sword fighter. So he takes him into his secret apartment to get him to teach him how to be a great sword fighter. And someone opens another door, and it's Mylor with the machine, the irreplaceable machine. So he knows exactly where it is. It's like Edgar Rice Burroughs is super, super efficient and unconcerned with believability or anything like that. This is headlong storytelling. It's like as quick as possible, which, it's got its kind of joys to it, because in the hands of someone writing this nowadays, this book would be 600 pages long and just go on forever versus, 150 pages with Edgar Rice Burroughs. It's down and dirty and ridiculous and all just full of coincidence, but that kind of makes it fun that way. Um, so, um, so he knows where that is. He finds a hangar where he knows what that is. He knows that he bumps into his Oxor friend who escaped with them because he Dan Panchi, who didn't want to execute him, so thus he was also condemned to death. Who's also in love with Lilana, as I said, and they found out that Lilana has been purchased by a noble who was purchased by the wife of the noble, but then the noble found out how gorgeous she was, so then the noble wants her, but then the wife didn't want to give her up. But now, the husband's going to get the slave, the sexy slave girl, Lilana. Um, um, and they're all going to be together at this big gathering tonight because, unfortunately, this place with all these black Martians is separate from the Valley of Dor. But the Valley of Dor Martians have arrived, and they're doing a big to-do. And John Carter has to do a sword play thing. And indeed, he goes to do a sword play thing. And who's the guy he's going up against? But one of the personal guards of the black Martians. So he completely recognizes him, and he's about to yell out his name when John Carter just stabs him through the heart. And there's pandemonium, and John Carter makes a run for it, which is how we leave the story now. Now there is the whole thing in this story of it's like, okay, yeah, it's a black society that's taken John Carter, a white dude, as slave, which I guess is kind of social commentary, but it's also kind of it's ham-fisted pulp. Racial commentary, which is not that great, but lots of fun, zippy storytelling. Good goodies, bad baddies. There's always there's the one good guy who in the enemy camp who turns out to see how awesome John Carter is and kind of teams up with him. And we indeed get that with this. We've got a black Martian, Panther or something like that. I can't remember what his name is, who's really respects John Carter as being a great swordsman and kind of, treats him with respect. So you can have all the dastardly dudes as well. So we get variations in all that. So yeah, that's where I'm at so far with Lilana of Gthl, which is really a John Carter story through and through. Narrated by John Carter, his point of view, lots of action with John Carter. So it's sort of it's a nice way to give it out. And this story started out with John Carter visiting Edgar Rice Burroughs in Hawaii, I think this time. And it's got kind of a nice elegiac kind of thing of hey, I wanted to visit you one last time, while I could, because you, Edgar Rice Burroughs, are an older guy. And maybe we won't get to meet again. So let me tell you one more story of my adventures on Mars. There's a sort of that feel to it, which would have been a nice way to end it. But that's at book number 10. So I'm sure if Edgar Rice Burroughs had lived for another 20 years, there would have been another 10 books. But there wasn't. So we will leave it there.